According to Facebook, this week is Happily Married Week. And my Facebook feed has been maybe not filled up, but has been smattered with pictures of couples I know in happy little poses. And if you've noticed, I post a lot on Facebook, but I haven't posted a picture of my wife and I. You shouldn't be gravely concerned about that. If anything, I believe that I have been blessed with a particularly happy marriage, and I delight in it. We've been married for almost 23 years, and most of those years have been good years, but not all of them have been easy years. But I haven't posted a picture of my wife and I in a happy pose with that little heading, Happily Married Week, and I'm not rebuking anybody who has, but the reason for that, as a pastor, I am very aware that there are many people on Facebook and a number of people very likely in my own congregation who are not happily married. And I don't want to add to their sense of isolation at this time by parading my happiness. But I do want to take a few minutes and talk directly about that. This was a part of the reading today. Proverbs 27 verse 15 says, "A continual dripping on a rainy day and a quarrelsome wife are alike. To restrain her is to restrain the wind, or to grasp oil in one's right hand." And maybe that's something like the experience you're having. Maybe you're at home more often than usual, and just finding this constant rubbing together to be creating friction, and you're wondering, how can I bear it? The very best of marriages is being tested a little bit by the amount of time we're spending at home. But if you're already fragile, you might be at the end of your rope. And I would want to say to you, don't be ashamed to make known your need. Don't post about it on Facebook that I'm unhappily married, but do reach out to get some help. I would hope that there's enough love and hope in your marriage for you to say to your spouse, hey, let's talk to somebody about this. Let's get a little bit of outside perspective on our marriage. Let's see if there's not some way that we can mend some of the broken pieces and places. And I would want to say to you, begin with your pastor. Send me a note. I'm not a counselor. I'm not a trained counselor, but I do have certain resources and certain tools that are available to me. And some of those are very helpful tools to get you started in the process of at least looking at the places where marriage maybe is weak, and at some of the things that you might be able to do to improve marriage. I'll tell you one funny little story, and then I want to give you, as I close this little video, one little tool that I have often used that I think is very, very helpful. But just to demonstrate how far from perfectly in tune my wife and I are, I know, and my wife's in the other room, can hear me talking right now, I know that I frustrated my wife last week when I did the grocery shopping, because we grocery shop differently. I came back having spent the better part of the week's budget on groceries, and she looked at it, and there were 3 different kinds of herbs. There was 2 different kinds of cheeses. There were a number of unusual things. Oh, I know, duck. There was duck and lamb, and she actually said, "You bought another duck?" Because we already have one in the freezer. And I said, "You can never have enough duck." But I know, I know she was a little bit frustrated by me. She did the grocery shopping and came back with a much more sensible list. I mean, these are the sorts of things in a happy marriage you can sort of sense the frustration and know we're going to be okay. But if you've got some difficulty going on, that's a bigger struggle. So let me just give you one thing. This isn't going to fix everything, but this is one key to happy marriage that I've used for years, so much so that I don't even really think about it. Once in a while, I think about it, and then when I think about it, I become even more intentional about it. But if you want one thing that can begin to help you, here it is. Intentionally look for a way to compliment your spouse today. That's it. Intentionally look for a way to compliment your spouse today. Make it a real compliment. Do not couple the compliment with a criticism. Don't think I'm going to compliment. I really like that you did this, but I wish you'd done it this way. Or you look really nice today. That's a nice change. That's not a compliment. So a genuine, honest to goodness compliment. Find something. It could be the way your spouse looks. It could be some regular household task that they do that you appreciate. Find something that you appreciate, that you like, even if it's a little thing, and just make it a genuine compliment and say, thanks for doing that. I really appreciate that. That was nice. Thank you. Here's why I think this works. There's a couple things. We are quicker to perceive the thing that we're looking for. So if you intentionally say, today I am intentionally looking for something to compliment. It may be that right off the bat you've got something, but for some of you, if you're struggling a little bit in marriage, you might go, what am I going to compliment? I'm so filled with criticism and frustration for my spouse. And you say, the problem is you probably are spending a lot of time looking at the thing that annoys you and not nearly enough time looking at the things that you're taking for granted that you actually appreciate. So start looking for the thing that you appreciate. The thing that you're looking for is the thing which will come most readily to mind. So if you're looking for something to compliment, more and more you'll begin to see things that you appreciate about your spouse. And here's the other thing that happens. It warms a relationship. You might say, well, it's hokey. I mean, they know that I appreciate that. You don't know that they know that. People can't read minds. It is wonderful for somebody to say, I really appreciate the way that you did this certain thing. My wife routinely makes the bed, and then I have a nap at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and unmake part of the bed. But I really appreciate how my wife takes care of those sorts of things. And so to give her that compliment and say, I really appreciate that you did that. It warms the relationship a little bit because the person says, oh, he noticed, and here's the other thing, and this is getting down into the psychology of things, and I'm not a psychologist, but anybody who knows anything can figure this out. People like to be complimented. When we're complimented on certain things, it reinforces that thing, and so a person who has received a compliment, feels good about it, says, I like that. I'm going to do that again. And you know what ends up happening in the relationship is things that please you, the other person starts saying, I'm going to do that again. I like getting complimented. And if this becomes a reciprocal thing going back and forth between two people, it just begins to buoy up and lift up the relationship. So it's not the end all be all. It won't cure all, but it's one little tip in this midst of happily married week that you might take to the bank and use. So I hope it's helpful.